Imagine waking up to the realization that somewhere in the vastness of the ocean, buried under shifting sand or resting in deep black water, lies a nuclear bomb that was never recovered. Not a myth. Not a conspiracy theory. A documented piece of American military history. During the height of the Cold War, when the United States and the Soviet Union stood locked in a nuclear standoff that could have ended civilization in minutes, weapons of unimaginable destructive power were flown across continents, carried in bombers, loaded onto submarines, and stationed around the globe. And in several chilling incidents, some of those weapons were lost. To this day, America has never recovered them all. The military term is broken arrow. It sounds harmless, almost cinematic. But in Pentagon language, it means an accident involving a nuclear weapon that does not create a risk of nuclear war. The phrase emerged in an era of constant tension, when bombers armed with thermonuclear weapons flew continuous patrols, submarines prowled beneath Arctic ice, and missiles were kept on hair-trigger alert. In that environment, fast, tense, unforgiving, mistakes happened. In 1958, off the coast of Georgia near Tybee Island, a U.S. Air Force B-47 collided midair with an F-86 fighter during a training exercise. The bomber carried a Mark 15 nuclear bomb weighing nearly 7,600 pounds. To land safely, the crew jettisoned the weapon into the Atlantic. It vanished. Weeks of searching failed to recover it. For decades, officials debated whether it contained its plutonium core. Even today, uncertainty lingers. Somewhere beneath those waters lies a relic of the Cold War that was never brought home. In 1961, over Goldsboro, North Carolina, a B-52 broke apart in midair, dropping 2 hydrogen bombs over farmland. One parachuted down. The other slammed into the earth and disintegrated. Investigators later revealed that multiple safety mechanisms had failed on one bomb. Out of several safeguards, all but one had armed. A single low-voltage switch stood between North Carolina and catastrophe. Much of the weapon was recovered, but parts remained buried deep underground because excavation posed risks. Even when recovery is possible, it is not always complete. In 1965, an aircraft rolled off the deck of the USS Ticonderoga into the Philippine Sea, carrying a nuclear bomb. The pilot, plane, and weapon disappeared into water more than 16,000 feet deep. The incident was classified for years. When acknowledged, it raised diplomatic concerns because of its proximity to Japan. Once again, the ocean had swallowed a nuclear weapon whole. To understand how this happened, you have to enter the mindset of the Cold War. This was not an era of minimal arsenals. It was an era of overwhelming force. Under mutually assured destruction, both superpowers stockpiled tens of thousands of nuclear weapons. Bombers flew airborne alerts to guarantee retaliation even if runways were destroyed. Submarines roamed constantly. Movement of nuclear weapons became routine. And when something becomes routine, even something this dangerous, the risk of error grows. A lost nuclear bomb does not automatically mean a nuclear explosion waiting to happen. These weapons are built with multiple safeguards and require precise sequences to detonate. Without those triggers, a full-scale blast is highly unlikely. But that does not erase concern. Nuclear weapons contain radioactive materials. Over decades, saltwater corrodes metal. Conventional explosives age. Questions remain about long-term environmental impact. These are engineering realities, not Hollywood fantasies. The oceans cover more than 70% of Earth. They are vast, deep, and constantly shifting. Locating a large object thousands of feet below the surface is challenging even today. Decades ago, with limited sonar and mapping technology, it was far more difficult. Sediment buries heavy objects. Currents move debris. The idea that something as massive as a hydrogen bomb could vanish seems unbelievable, until you consider the scale of the planet. Secrecy also shaped these events. During the Cold War, public confidence was critical. Admitting that nuclear weapons had been lost risked fear and political fallout. Many incidents were classified for years, emerging later as scattered archival records. But when viewed together, they reveal a pattern of close calls and partial recoveries in a time when the margin for error was terrifyingly thin. Some experts argue that the environmental risk today is minimal. Nuclear weapons are engineered to withstand extreme conditions. Others caution that corrosion over half a century introduces uncertainty designers never fully anticipated. While no lost American nuclear bomb has caused a nuclear detonation, The long-term condition of unrecovered devices remains largely unknown. Beyond the technical details lies a deeper truth. Nuclear deterrence depends on control, on the idea that every weapon is accounted for and secured. Lost weapons complicate that narrative. Even if they pose little danger now, their existence reminds us that absolute control is an illusion. Since those early decades, safety protocols have evolved dramatically. Airborne alerts ended. Tracking systems improved. The active arsenal shrank from its Cold War peak. Lessons were learned. Yet the lost bombs remain part of the record, silent, unseen, resting beneath waves or soil. There is something profoundly human in this story. The Cold War was driven by fear of surprise attack, technological inferiority, ideological defeat. That fear fueled innovation and unprecedented risk. When machines of immense power are placed in human hands, imperfection is inevitable. Imagine waves rolling peacefully along a quiet coastline. Families walk the shore. Beneath that same water, perhaps miles offshore, rests a weapon built to unleash energy beyond comprehension. The coexistence of normal life and hidden destructive potential defines the nuclear age. The Lost Nuclear Bombs America Never Recovered is not just a dramatic title. It is grounded in official history. It reminds us that some chapters of the past remain physically present in our world, even if unseen. As new technologies and new tensions emerge in the 21st century, these stories matter. They show how urgency can outpace caution, how power demands humility, and how survival once depended not only on strategy and safeguards, but sometimes on sheer luck. Somewhere in the dark ocean depths, metal casings continue to age. Somewhere beneath layers of soil, fragments remain where they fell. They are unlikely to detonate. They may never resurface. But they exist, silent witnesses to a time when the world stood on the edge, and the margin between disaster and survival was only a switch away.